So I've been looking around Adelaide today, and it's a beautiful city, and this is my first time here.
I cannot believe it's your first time.
Neither can I. I mean, I've lived in Australia all my life, and I've lived in Queensland for way too long, but I managed to bring 30-degree weather with me. Let me just point that out. So Australia has a magnificent history in the space industry. Why was South Australia selected for the home of the Australian Space Agency?
Well, I can tell you what I think.
Yeah, that's
obviously
right.
Didn't make the decision because
I
it was
understand.
the federal government that decided it. But I think, yes, the fact of Woomera and its extraordinary history, not just for Australia, but actually for the world, is probably part of why we've always regarded ourselves as being really strong in space, and the Commonwealth government's seen that.
Yep.
But also, really importantly, in 2017 we had the International Space Congress.
Yes, I
It's
know.
held every year, and we put everything into making that huge. And I was in government previously, I was the education minister then, and it was so successful. We tied it not only to all of the businesses, of course, and the international visitors, but to having students participating, Aboriginal students coming who are interested in studying space. And so I feel that we really put ourselves on the map at exactly the right time, when not only the space industry is having this incredible resurgence, but also the Commonwealth was getting ready to make the decision to have a space agency. So I think that moment, and maybe Andy Thomas is a little bit to do with it as well. I can't say not, because he's not only a fabulous human being and scientist, but also he's pretty proud of being South Australian, so maybe.
Speaking of the IAC, it is a question here, by the way. Speaking of the IAC in 2017, I mean, the man of the moment was here. The man of the moment, Elon Musk. Did you get to meet him at all? Oh, no, I was just, because I was going to say, if you did, I was just bask in your glory.
Well, I don't know, we've got some mixed views, don't we, about him?
I've changed my opinion, but I understand. I don't bet against Elon as my personal, but the rest of it, not so much.
That's totally fair. No, so Jay Weatherill, our Premier at the time, absolutely spent time with Elon, because not only did we have space as a big interest, but you remember he built the big battery.
Yeah, that's right.
Which was the world's biggest battery.
Yeah, correct.
And he said, if I don't do it in this amount of time, you get it for free. And he did it in that amount of time, unfortunately.
That was a coup and a half, by the way.
And look, I was recently at COP for climate change. I'm also the climate change minister in Egypt.
Oh, I know. I took a photo of what she's minister of, by the way. And she's minister of a lot of things, not just defence and space.
Things that go together, though, because the future of our
absolutely.
economy, so industry and innovation and science, really belongs with climate, environment and water, because if they're not consistent and coherent, then we don't have a future economy.
Correct.
But it is quite big, you're right. But anyway, so I was at COP, and when I was talking, no one from the government in the 4 years we were out of government had been at COP. Fair play, it was COVID for a couple of years. And so I was, in a way, reintroducing South Australia. And a few people went, oh, you the guys with the big battery that Elon Musk built. So that is something that we are known for, even today, which is fabulous.
The Hornsdale Power Reserve, I believe it's called, but I think that's its official name. And I looked that up and did something on that a little while ago. Just as a quick question that links into all of that, you mentioned that you're the minister I mentioned that the minister is minister of everything. A few different things. I'll put that up on screen in a minute. But so did you ever think growing up that you would become the Minister for Defence and Space and have a say in Australia's space industry?
No. No, so I've always been a little bit of a science nerd. I did a BA at uni, but I did a big dose of biology in that BA.
Okay.
So I was at Flinders Uni, and for Flinders Uni people know I was on both sides of the lake, so the science side and the humanities and social sciences side, so broad education. So I've always been interested in science, and anyone who's interested in science is interested in space, but I did not realise it was a thing you could be minister of.
Boing.
And that's what's really exciting, is
true.
that now it's not just about being industry generally and manufacturing, which is really important for our economy, but specifically to say that defence and space require that kind of leadership and attention, because they are industries that are pivoting our economy to make them more complex, more sophisticated, more requiring of innovation and research and education, all the things we want, but also they are, particularly space, of course, about solving the problems of today that really matter to us all, like climate change.
Yes.
So bringing those together was not a thing I thought of when I was growing up, which is a very long time ago, but is a joy to be part of now.
Well, when I was growing up, I wanted to be part of the space industry, and I didn't realise we had an Australian space industry. And yet here I am hosting a YouTube channel. So I'm still involved.
That's gorgeous. Do you still harbour the ambition to leave Earth's orbit? Or?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, of course you do.
I do. Like every space nerd. Yeah, look,
I read a lot of science fiction. I
did you?
love space. Still, to this day, I read a lot. But I don't personally want to do it. So
right.
So I read Artemis recently by who's Ware, the person who wrote The Martian.
Yeah, Andy Weir.
Andy Weir, that's it. So I read Artemis and the other one, which I think is called something.
Oh, the one, something about the moon.
Artemis is the moon one.
No, Artemis is the moon one.
And then there's one.
Martian.
Yeah, and the Martian, and there's a third one. But anyway,
I missed a book.
So this is good news. You have a book to read.
Yeah.
But so I love reading. And do you know the books that really influenced me in thinking about the environment here, because I'm at heart an environmentalist. Red Mars, Blue Mars, Green Mars.
Yes, I've read those.
Extraordinary to think about, really about starting life, Earth-like life, from scratch. And that I found completely fascinating, but I don't want to leave Earth's orbit.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Good call. No, it's space is not for everyone, but there's some of us nerds who actually just want to go just because they want to experience it. But still, I will say this to you: it scares the life out of me. I want to go, but it still scares the life out of me, because basically you're strapping yourself to a bomb.
That's right.
Look, it's a bomb with a very controlled, explosion, but still, it's a bomb. So in terms of environment and all that sort of stuff, I'm just going to come to that one for a second. Not Earth-based environment. What about the space-based environment in terms of low Earth orbit, high Earth orbit, where we've just got a lot of space junk? What are your thoughts about that? This is off the cuff question.
No, it's not good, right? I mean, we are a species that leaves stuff behind. Well, I'll correct that. We're a culture that does that, because for most of our time as a species, we haven't littered the planet. But the culture that we have now, the capacity to create things, has meant that we have the capacity to not only create them but leave them behind.
Yep.
And the whole circular economy, which I think we're starting to appreciate, we have no future if we don't embrace the circular economy, is yet to really reach the space industry.
True.
But it will, and it has to.
Yeah, it has to.
We can't have a near-Earth orbit in particular that is as littered as it is, because it's getting dangerous.
Yes.
So I think I have a lot of hope that as our capacity to influence, to change our environment increases, that we will start cleaning up after ourselves. That's
well, that's what I hope as well, because so who's just another quick question that I didn't write down, but it's really off the cuff as well, is whose responsibility do you think it might be? Because I asked this in my YouTube community, and I had a couple of responses about whose responsibility it should be to clean up. So if you launch something, do you think it's your responsibility to deorbit that?
Well, that's what the circular economy teaches.
Correct.
So you make it, you take it back and you recycle it.
Yep.
So that's one answer. An alternative answer, and again, we're talking off the cuff, right?
Yeah,
This is not government policy.
No, it's not. No, not government policy.
We're not engaged.
We're two nerds. We're two nerds
engaging.
We're two
nerds who like chatting. So the other approach I always apply is who benefits and has the resources.
Yeah.
So those entities, whether they're governments or companies, that have most benefited from creating a problem ought to be the ones that solve them.
Absolutely.
For climate change too.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you 100% on that one. Yeah, if you put it up there, you need to bring it back. But also at the same time, imagine how many cool museum pieces there would be if everyone brought everything back and didn't have to, destroy it on atmospheric re-entry. All right, so just a final question. What do you think the future of the Australian space industry will be for not only for Australia, but for South Australia?
The future of the space industry. I think there are at least two almost competing forces on the space industry. And one is its use essentially in defence.
Yes.
Its capacity to be involved in surveillance and to influence what happens on Earth in various ways. The other is its capacity to harness data for the good, the collective good.
Correct.
Now, there's an overlap there because, in fact, knowing what neighbours are doing mutually has an effect of keeping us behaving.
Yes.
So there's an overlap, but the civic use of space, particularly to manage climate change in how it's affecting us and how we can make decisions to reduce emissions, but also how to manage water, how to manage land, what's happening with biodiversity, they are, I think, the two biggest elements. There are others around the ways in which we're able to make more money. So how can we find more resources by using space and so on. So by no means are they the only two, but they seem to be the two really big stories. And I'm not sure which one will dominate. I could hazard a guess because, it's late on a Friday afternoon and I can be cynical like everybody else. But I do have a lot of hope because I think the people who are involved in space, they're science nerds too.
Yes.
And
I've met so many nerds.
Exactly.
They're great.
Tend to be incredibly well motivated, collective minded, and we collectively have a very big problem we need to solve. And space technology gives us an opportunity to deal with it. So I like to think that we're going to continue to be part of that story and not just the one that gives us the capacity to understand what each other's doing and hopefully ward off any hot problems.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. I understand, absolutely understand. Yeah, because what you touched on a couple of points there, which is, once we are living and working in space, then we can't waste anything. We can't just simply throw it away because even our pollution is a valuable resource that can be used as something when you're out in space. So, Susan, Minister, thank you very much. I do appreciate your time this afternoon, late on a Friday afternoon here in Adelaide. I'll go out and enjoy your beautiful city, maybe have a beer or two.
You've got the last couple of days left of the Fringe and the festival.
Yes, I know.
Please try to enjoy.
I
We're
will.
at our best. We're at our best right now.
I love the silver astronaut dog.
Yes, that's right.
Lot 14. Oh my God. My kids have looked at it and gone, what is that? So I do appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
It's a delightful conversation. Thank you so much.
So I just got to address you as Minister, is that right?
Call me Susan. It's fine. Seriously.
Seriously, I was thinking, what do I call you? Do I call you Minister? Do I call you Your Honour? Do I call you Honourable? Do I call you Your Majesty?
Yeah, no.
I'm going to take
Let's go with my name.
Let's go with your name. All right. Thank you very much, Susan. I do appreciate that.
Do you want to take your little label off?
Thank you. That'll end up in the bloopers reel at the end.